She had like a $2 million condo deal. She's like, would you do something this small? I'm like, I mean, I don't usually, but I guess.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mortgage MEGaphone Podcast. And today I am so psyched to have my friend Cara Cunha from Melville, New York, in the house with me to chat all things loan officer life in Long Island. Hey, Cara.
Hi, happy to be here.
I'm really excited you could do this. I feel like you are one of my favorite people, my birthday buddy. Happy belated
Yes,
birthday.
birthday twin.
We got to hang out at President's Club this past year. You're gonna be back?
I better be. A lot of my July closings were pushed into August, so I'm gonna look like I have this amazing August month, but truly, in New York, just nothing works out the way we would like it to.
What goes on in New York? Like, I actually don't know if I fully understand. First of all, how long does it take from the time if I were to go put an offer on a house tomorrow, sign a purchase contract, like what am I looking at?
So a big difference in New York, there's a few differences, but what ends up happening in New York is before someone goes into contract, when they get their offer accepted, first they do the inspection. Where a lot of other states will, I know I do some in Jersey, they'll get into contract and then they do the inspection. So it's unfortunate because a lot of times people do inspection and they're kind of getting cold feet while they're walking around the house again. I feel like when you're in other states and you do the inspection after a contract is already signed, you're less likely to back out.
That's a huge, huge difference for sure.
Yeah, so that's a pain. And unfortunately, in New York, until a contract is signed by the seller can still accept offers. So you can literally be at the inspection and another offer comes in. And if that offer is better and they find it better for whatever reason, they could potentially completely kick your offer out. And now you just spent, anywhere from $500 to $1,000 on the inspection too.
Wow. Oh yeah, that's really tough.
So offer gets accepted, inspection gets done, seller's attorney sends the contract to the buyer's attorney, and then the buyer's attorney goes through it. The buyer signs it, gives the deposit, and then the seller signs it. So that could be like sometimes it's a few days, sometimes it takes 2 weeks.
Sure.
And anything can happen in those 2 weeks where another offer comes in, unfortunately. So that kind of sucks. And then once you get the contract, there's something called an on or about date, which means you have the right to close that day or 30 days after. So yeah, and you just never know,
Yeah.
So unfortunately, you have a situation where it could be on or about September 1st, and it can actually technically go until October 1st. So everything just gets delayed. Nothing ever closes on time.
It's kind of interesting. Like for me, I'm thinking if I was living in a house that I'm trying to sell and then I'm trying to move into another house I'm buying, like there seems to be too many moving parts to
Yes.
organize that. Because my house could take forever or buying this house could, and you don't know.
Yeah, so I do get a lot of couples, especially in like my age range, where they bought their first house, they now have had kids a few years later, and now they need to get into something bigger, whatever the case may be. And I call myself the mortgage therapist for a reason because buying and selling in New York is just something that is unbelievable. I try to set myself apart from other loan officers by offering to speak if they're selling their house. A lot of times I connect with the loan officer for their buyer to make sure they know what they're doing, to make sure they did their proper due diligence, and just to make sure that everything's going to be super smooth. And that tends to help when we're now putting an offer in on our purchase. I can confidently call the listing agent and say, hey, yes, they are selling a house. I know it could be scary. However, this is their buyer situation. I spoke myself to the loan officer that their buyer is using, and XYZ, this is where they are in the process. So and it's good because then I get to build relationships with other loan officers as well.
That does make sense. And also other agents, you can probably meet new referral partners that way too, when there's so much time and interaction and things going on.
So much going on, so many people to manage. I had a buyer last year. She was living with her parents. She was buying a house, and then there was a four-domino transaction beyond this.
Wow.
Where everyone needed to close. So actually the fourth seller of this whole transaction, their attorney called me to make sure that I like knew my stuff and I knew what I was doing, because if she couldn't close, then it would basically kill like 4 or 5 deals in a row.
Oh yeah, no
So
kidding.
yeah, so it's something that's like common,
Mm-hmm.
but you just have to obviously like find the right people, and that's what helps you kind of set yourself apart from everyone for New York here.
How did you get into all of this? You moved to loan officer at 20, but I know you were more like a loan officer assistant prior to that, or?
Yes, we would be here until Christmas if I really told the full story. But yes, I was a loan officer assistant for a top producer at my previous company.
Mhm.
I knew nothing about mortgages when I started. I didn't even know how to spell mortgages when I started. My husband's best friend is a loan officer, and he just suggested that it was something I should do. I was working in like law firms as paralegal before this. It wasn't getting me anywhere. It wasn't like fulfilling to me. I needed something that was more like, gave me some sort of motivation, whatever. So my husband's best friend suggested that I get into this industry. He then referred me to the top producer of the company that he was at the time. I started off doing actually like more marketing stuff, more like Facebook activity for him, sending like detailed thank you notes to realtors and clients. So kind of more like client relation like touches. And then his main assistant at the time was like, you need to start learning like what this is all about. I'm like, yeah, because I don't know like what you guys are talking about. I distinctly remember like eating dinner with my parents and letting them know that I was getting this new job with like a mortgage company. And I remember my dad like trying to explain things to me. And my mom bought like a Mortgages for Dummies book for me. It was in the summer. I was kind of like fun employed at the time. So I was like reading this Mortgages for Dummies book while like tanning outside. I think like 23 years old or something like that. So super funny to look back on that. But yeah, so I started really learning the business about like a year in. I started it was like August of 2013. And then it just I worked for this guy for about 5.5 years. Not the nicest guy. He had a
Shocking.
horrible personality. Ricky can vouch for me because that's how Ricky and I met. We both worked for him at one point.
Right. And Ricky is now your branch manager.
And now Ricky's somehow my boss, but I actually taught him. He worked under me, and I taught him everything. And now he's
Go back
technically
and
my
look at
boss.
that. Yeah.
So it's funny. I definitely rag on him about that a lot. But yeah, he basically just threw me into the fire. The guy was a genius with structuring and the rules and guidelines, but I had a better personality with a mouse, like this kind of mouse, not an actual mouse. I would never, but literally I can have a better personality with anything in this world than this guy, but genius when it came to mortgages. So I learned a lot from him, like how to not to be a person, but also then how to structure.
Yeah.
Alone, it got to a point where he was sending me to his office meetings instead of himself. He had a relationship with a company that had about 20 offices on Long Island. So he was sending me to conduct office meetings and educate and all these things. And I wanted to get married before actually becoming a loan officer. God forbid it didn't work out for some reason. At least I had like a husband to fall back on his income. And so as soon as I got married, I broke the news to the guy that I was the assistant to, who wanted to, get on me about how he gave me a very generous wedding gift and how could I do this to him and blah, blah, blah. But whatever. So it was very chaotic, actually, like going out on my own. But yeah,
right.
So
It's a leap of faith for sure, but it makes more sense. Like, okay, now I'm married, so I won't be totally out on the street if I can't close any deals.
Exactly. So we had a co-op at the time. Speaking of, so it was very cheap co-op, very cheap mortgage payment. And yeah, so then, it was really, really perfect timing. I don't know how, because I'm not a lucky person at all whatsoever. Actually, like bad luck cloud follows me just like everywhere I go at this point. But I made this decision like mid 2018. I officially became like out on my own January 2019. And then all of 2019 was like 5 networking events a week, during the day, at night,
Okay.
just like really grinding, which was obviously nice to do without kids and all those fun things that came along now. So 2019, I really just grinded like crazy with networking events and shaking hands and just meeting everyone. Social media stuff like wasn't that big then, but like a little bit. In 20, I accidentally met a financial advisor off of a deal and it just spiraled. And then COVID hit, rates dropped. This financial
Yeah.
advisor firm was, I literally still to this day like do some work with them, not as much, but they are the reason like why I was able to like buy a house or do anything. I closed 80 million in 2021. 2019 was my first year. I closed 25 million, which is pretty good for a
That's
first
good
year.
because 20 was not a good year
No,
for
it wasn't
mortgages.
that great.
No.
2020 was 50 and then 2021 was 80 million. And I would say like 60%, sorry, 40% of that was strictly from this financial advisor
So you
firm
meet this financial advisor by accident.
by accident,
Like, what do you mean?
completely by accident.
Like,
So
was it one of your bad luck things? Like,
no,
what do you mean?
this was a good luck one too.
This
So
is
I
good
guess
luck.
I do have some more good luck than I'm saying, but someone that worked at my previous company in the office, he was a little strange, but he did a lot of work with this financial advisor firm. The girl's name was Veronica,
Okay.
which is like a name that like you hear and like, I don't know, you just think it's like a really pretty, like
Yeah.
cool name. So I would always hear him talking about Veronica, Veronica, Veronica. And then one day he disappears into thin air. We had no idea what happened. He like said he's leaving the company and no one was able to get in touch with him after he did that. The next day I get a call from a random number and it's a girl introducing herself as Veronica. And I'm like, whoa, like, yes, I know who you are. And she basically just went on the website to look at loan officers in New York and she's like, hey, this guy, his name was Chris. She's like, Chris disappeared. I'm like, tell me about it. We have no idea where he went. And she said there's like 5 deals of her clients that he's working on right now, and she doesn't know what's going to happen. So I ended up like inheriting them, although I didn't get paid on them, but whatever, it's paid itself off.
You know where Chris is. Like, I do feel like if anyone out there knows where Chris is.
Where is Chris? I don't care. Maybe I owe him a little something, but yeah, and then, she basically kind of brought me into this company and they have very high net worth clients. I actually got my first celebrity
Can
from
you tell
them.
us who it is?
Yeah, now I can. It's Danny, it's not like celebrity, but his name is Danny Green and he's actually like a pretty famous basketball player.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, so he's played on a few NBA teams and then he used Josh and Heather Altman from Million Dollar Listing.
No way.
I got like besties with Heather. If you look her up on Instagram and you check her who she follows, I'm on there. So
Ooh, all right. I will do that. That's
I
amazing.
did a few deals with her like after that, which was pretty cool. Obviously, they have a lot of like super high net worth people,
Yeah.
but she would like refer me like for a solid like year and a half, and then it kind of just like
So,
fizzled out.
but they're $1 million listing LA. So do
Yeah.
they also sell in New York?
No, because this was when I was at like the big bank.
Okay, so
So
you
it
were
was
doing
just like,
California.
yeah, so I was
Okay,
able to do California there. So
cool.
yeah, so it was all like California, LA. She had like a $2 million condo. Because Danny Green bought like a $6 million new construction. And
Mm.
I'll never forget, she calls me. She had like a $2 million condo deal. She's like, would you do something this small? I'm like, I mean, I don't usually, but I guess. Yeah.
Thing for you, Heather.
What was I supposed to say? Yeah, but yeah, so it was pretty cool. We like were pretty friendly for a little bit and then it kind of like fizzled out, but nothing like bad happened, but just I
Yeah.
guess you didn't really need me like for much after that.
Mm.
But that was cool. That was my little claim to fame.
I think that's so great. So, okay, so now here we are, 26. All of these glory days of 2021 are over, and we're not getting $1 million listing LA
No.
referrals, but you're still crushing it. So, where's your business come from today?
I would say most is just referrals, a lot of hustling on the phones, with the kids now. My kids are now 4 and 2. I don't
Busy. So
really
busy.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, they are in daycare full time, which is pretty much a second mortgage payment. So
Yeah.
that is where the hustle also comes in to just
Hmm.
survive my real mortgage and my daycare mortgage
Yeah.
payment, pretty much. So, I'm not able to do as much now, like I was able to do. Once 5 o'clock hits, I have to pick them up from daycare. My husband works in New York City, so I don't have a lot of help after 5 o'clock. The amount of deals I have negotiated and during bath time, because that's when they're like entertaining themselves in the water,
They're
is
contained.
insane. I did it this week on Monday after Monday night. I was literally negotiating a deal for a client during bath time. So that is my claim to fame these
Yeah.
days.
Bath time negotiator.
Yeah. So a lot of it is just, having a strong team under you, I think is super helpful. I do have a great assistant that's really on top of it. She's been in the mortgage industry for over 30 years. There are times where she knows things better than I do.
Really? Well, that's lucky for sure.
Yeah,
Do you
so that
share
got
her or
really
does she just work on
lucky.
your stuff?
I share her.
Hmm.
I have a great processor who also helps. So a lot of like the minutia, I think, is what helps me, them taking care of that stuff, those little details is what helps me really be on my follow-up game as much as possible. And I think a lot of it is also like personality. I don't know everything,
Yeah.
start to finish by the book in the mortgage world, but I think it helps to just like be on top of stuff, be friendly, be caring, be understanding. I do call listing agents constantly. I'm constantly updating them. And a lot of times they're saying to me, wow, I really like the way you work. And that's my cue to be like, okay, follow up time, coffee time. I try to be as relatable as possible. I have one Instagram account. I find that, like, you have your one account that shows personal life and mortgage life. It helps people like relate to you. I feel like I'm at like an age where a lot of people are buying and they have little kids and it can be like something that's more relatable. So
Yeah.
I try to not make it such like a daunting process with people. And I think that's like appreciated.
Hmm.
The closing I had this morning was a past client referring their friend.
Oh,
So I feel like it's just like a lot of follow up and like relationships is
yeah.
what really helps, with the agents.
So, what advice would you give another woman like that might be interested in getting into mortgage and being a mom?
Starting off as a mom, like,
Well,
and
yeah, like what? Well, actually, what advice would you give another 23-year-old girl by the pool with mortgages for dummies?
perfect. That's yeah, because if someone is a mom and they want to first start, I mean, it's going to be very hard
Yeah.
to do
You do
anything.
think, actually, that's a good thing. So, you do think it's hard. I think it's really interesting. I've been surprised in talking to and seeing on Instagram and even chatting with Kenzie, chatted with Corey Spartana. They have young kids, and they do feel like being a loan officer gives them some flexibility
Oh,
that
totally.
a nine
Yeah.
to five in the office job doesn't have. But
Yeah.
starting off at the beginning, like when you started, you didn't have kids, and that's when you did all your networking and hustling. So do you
Yes.
feel like right now you don't? How would you possibly start if you had a 4 and a 2-year-old?
Right. It's very hard. And there are ways to be creative. Like I'm actually stealing, was texting with Kenzie last night. I'm stealing her idea that she's doing with the self-defense class.
Oh yes,
So I'm trying to get creative of what can I do during the hours of daycare, right? I drop
yeah.
off at 9:30, I pick up at 5. I have no kids, no responsibility with them from those hours. So what can I do during those hours to really help? Brokers open houses, some sort of networking during the day. So that's why I was saying like that follow up with like people that are interested in speaking to me. Like I have a running list of people that I want to reach back out to,
Yeah.
right? I have now a lot more like goals also, as far as I know, I spoke to you about like videos that I want to
Mhm.
start doing, things that I could be doing from like that 9 to 5 hour
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
big.
So
But
you're going to get more into social media. I know you were
yeah, so
mentioning.
my goal for now until the end of the year is really to get a little bit more into that social media space, and kind of just like watching videos of people trying to gather ideas and all those fun things. But so more to come on that. But I would say, just trying to be as confident as possible, not getting wrapped up in like the minutia of like the little details, like knowing the basics of the mortgage world,
Yeah.
but almost like a fake it till you make it type thing where if someone
Hmm.
asks you a question that you don't know the answer to, you know what? There's 400 pages of mortgage rules. Let me get back to you. Or I
Yeah.
think you could do this, but let me just double check,
Mm,
So don't ever make something up to like, as far as like a guideline, but
yeah.
definitely learn how to take these types of conversations if you don't know the answer and don't sound like you don't know anything,
Hmm.
but kind of just try to twist it in your own way of like, okay, like, let me figure that out for you, type thing.
Yeah.
I think someone that's very new to the business, the way that I did it, being an assistant to a top producer, I would never recommend someone to become a loan officer like literally off the street because there's
Yeah.
just way too much to know. Being, a assistant or being a junior loan officer, really working under someone's wing, I think is the best way to go. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how Ricky learns, right? And we all know how he's doing.
Right. Did he learn under you?
Yes,
Exactly.
he did.
And he's doing
So
great.
his we were the preferred lender for his mom.
Uh-huh.
And then when he graduated college, I won't totally embarrass him of all the conversations that were had, but when he graduated college, he basically ended up coming to work with us.
Hmm.
And he worked under me for basically, I think it was like about 2 years. We worked together. He was under me, and I was like pushing my like peasant work off to him for a while. But that's how he learns, right? And I think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that's
And
like,
now
and
look at
that's how
him.
I learned too. I mean, I
Right.
knew nothing, and it was kind of the same thing how we are here. I was making a salary and then I was making a small commission off of what was closing. So I wanted to make a lot of money. So the guy that I worked for was, motivated in certain ways, but I was felt even more motivated.
Hmm.
So, it was a good
It's definitely the way to go. I mean,
learn.
I also had those jobs just calling people, asking for their pay stubs, getting insurance binders, like all of those things. Like, and then it's like you, and now I can just sit here and yap. I don't actually need to know anything anymore, which is really
Yes,
nice.
exactly.
So I can forget it all. I just have two more questions. One,
Of
what do you
course.
think is your loan officer superpower?
Officer superpower. How do I put this into words? I guess like compassion, I would say.
Oh, I love that. Yes,
Yeah, I would say like
answer.
I really truly like care about people, and it's funny because we're in like the sales position, and I feel like unfortunately loan officers get a bad rap, almost like that used car salesman type of
Yeah.
vibe. So I'm very big on my like reputation of how I'm viewed or how I'm seen and things like that. So I really am compassionate, for people and their money and knowing how hard they work. And this is like the biggest purchase of their life. When I speak to people, I always say, you're not buying a t-shirt, you
I
can't
love that. Yeah.
return this if you don't like it. Like you really have to
Mm,
be taking your time on this. So, yeah, so I would say compassion.
love it. And do you have any big goals for 2026? We're past the halfway mark.
Yeah, we're past the halfway mark. I really want to get back to my $50 million years that I had, so that is definitely a big goal of mine, which is why I'm starting to make different changes of different things of how I'm working my business, how I'm getting clients and stuff like that. It's just been like super unfortunate with the luck of closings, and an inventory is really bad in New York.
Yeah, listen, it is not easy to get to 50 million, but I think
No,
you can do
these
it.
days
It's
it's
really,
not as
'cause-
easy,
yeah, it's
but that's
hard.
definitely the goal. And
Yeah,
to get to President's Club for my fourth year
you
is
will be
definitely,
there for sure.
I hope so.
Nice.
I
All
need the
right. I can't wait to see you at President's Club next year with your $50 million
yes,
up on the big board. I will
hopefully.
see you before that. And thank you
Yes.
so much for talking to me today.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
All right. Bye, Kara.
Bye.